Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome back to a new half term. I hope you've all had a fantastic half-term holiday. I know I certainly have. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a moment. And perhaps we can see what some of you other people have been doing as well. So I hope you've had a fantastic week and are ready for a new half-term, whatever that brings. For some of you, it'll bring you back to school, which is great. We're looking forward to that, really excited about that. For others, you'll be still at home learning, perhaps back at school, perhaps a few weeks later than everybody else, but we'll get there, and lots to look forward to, hopefully. So let's just have a quick whiz round and see how the staff are getting on. So shall we start with you, Mrs. Turnbull?
Oh, yes. Well, I've had a few aches and pains this week, Mr. H. I've been working really, really hard building a wall in my garden.
Right.
So it's been extremely difficult. Who has had a go at building walls before? Anybody here? Jack and Poppy and Maisie? Ava, have you had a go at building walls?
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than you think, isn't it? I thought, well, if you're good at putting things together, like jigsaws, and I'm very handy. I'm very good at fixing things, and I thought, it'll be quite easy, but it is so hard, and we have been doing it for days and days and days, and the wall is really still quite small. But I've learned a new skill this week. I've learned how to break stone. Has anybody done that before? No? Okay.
I do, kind of.
You do? Well, I am quite old now, and I've never broken, I've broken little stones, but not great big stones. But I have learned this week how to do that with a chisel. Bang, 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 putting a line in, and you have to do it for a very long time to make a little crack exactly where you want it to break. You can crack it off, but it is very difficult, and my shoulder is aching and my legs are aching with getting up and down. And there was one day when I thought, I've had enough. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I'm too hot and I'm too tired. And I was about to give up, but then my partner Paul said, go on, have a little break, have a drink, have a rest in the shade, and then come back to it. And I did, and we're getting on quite well now. And it was just a really good example, like when you find things really hard and you want to give up because it's just so difficult. I felt like that this week, and it was to do with building a wall because it's something I'd never done before. So I just thought I'd share that with you, because I'm sure you have times when you think, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, it's really difficult. So it can be done. You keep on going, and actually now I feel really proud of it. I'll send you a picture. I'll give you a picture when it's all done.
I'll look forward to that. Joe, it's funny, Mrs. Turnbull. One of the things that I've done while we've been in lockdown is I've had a chance to catch up with lots of friends, and every Saturday night we have a meet up on Zoom, a bit like this, and do all sorts of silly things. But one of the people that I've met up with is someone that I went to college with when I was teacher training, Emma, who also trained to be a teacher with me. And now she doesn't teach anymore. She's a dry stone waller. And she does exactly that. And she works in the Peak District. She has her own company down in Derbyshire, and she spends her day building dry stone walls. So I shall put you in touch.
I think I need to. Yes, I wish I'd known that before I started all this, Mr. Hay. I could have had some good tips.
And how about you, Mrs. Stembridge?
Hi everyone. Well, I haven't been working as hard as Mrs. Turnbull. I have been eating a lot of ice lollies. I don't know if that's an achievement, isn't it? But on Saturday morning, I got up and I came downstairs and I found this on the kitchen table, which my husband, Mr. Stembridge, had created a Stembridge fun fair. So all day on Saturday and all day on Sunday, we played Tin Can Alley, 10-pin bowling, darts, bools. He even got some little tiny curling stones. That's really hard. I can't do that at all. We did that, and we had a barbecue and spent lots of time all together. It was lovely.
Wow.
Sounds like great fun. Yeah.
Sounds,
To do with it, even better.
sounds brilliant. Mrs. Hallilay, how about you?
Oh, how about me? Well, like Mrs. T, I've learned lots of new skills as well, actually. Lots of DIY skills that I don't think I ever would have attempted before this. So I've learned how to mix cement as well over this lockdown period, and lay patios and paving slabs. So Mrs. T, together, hey, you know. But this weekend we've had, what did we do? Oh, we went down to the river yesterday. We went on a little cycle ride with my partner Stephen and my children, and we cycled down to Witton Le Weir, which is probably about a mile away from where I live. And we went to the river and had a paddle. And Mrs. Stenbridge, I have also eaten copious amounts of ice creams and ice lollies too. So I'm with you there.
Fantastic. So I think we could have a new maintenance team, couldn't we, when we go back to school?
I know.
Yeah.
Mrs. Corbett, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Sorry, I'm late. I was in between the the earlier Zoom. I was putting up a fly screen at one of our doors. The weather's bringing them out, I'm afraid.
I'm feeling quite helpless at the moment with all this DIY going on. I need to do something.
And apart from that, I've just been a flower ball last week, so.
Wonderful. Now, is Mrs. Hayes hiding there somewhere?
Yeah.
How are you, Mrs. Hayes? Oh, there you go. Are you well?
I'm well. I've just been doing a bit of gardening and been making some ear plugs because there's somebody up the hill from where we live that's making lots of noise with their stone wall making.
Wonder who that could be. Brilliant. Okay, so let's just have a whip around everybody else. Phoebe, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Have you had a nice half term?
Yeah, we've done lots-ish.
Excellent.
Had my dad's birthday.
Very nice.
Oh.
Did you have a nice cake?
Yeah, it was a breakfast cake.
Oh, okay.
Brownie, eggs, and sausages.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds wonderful. How are you, Matt? We haven't seen you for a while. Are you well? Oh, we can't hear you.
Got no sound, Matt.
We can't hear you, Matt. We can see you talking. I tell you what, we'll come back to you, and hopefully you'll get your sound working. If not, well, at least we can see you, and you can give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. Excellent. Well, at least you can hear us. That's good. Alexander, how are you?
Good.
And you're at home today. You're not at the beach.
No. We went to the beach again. It was Kane's birthday, and we went camping in the garden.
Wow.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Not too hot, I hope, out there in that tent.
No.
Brilliant. I'm glad you enjoyed that. And looking very serious there, Jack. Have you had a good week at the farm, Daltons?
Yeah.
Excellent. Those lambs, have they finally finished?
One left.
One left, almost there. But other than that, you've had a good week.
Yeah.
Excellent.
There's no water though.
Oh no.
No.
There's no water at the farm.
Oh,
So no showers, no washing. Oh dear.
But we're back home now, but we have to get water out the river now and take it up to the cows and the sheep.
Oh no. Oh, I hope you can get that sorted soon.
Really hard work.
Makes it life very tough. And then I was going to ask Ava how she was, but she seems to have disappeared. So she might have lost her connection. So hopefully she'll be back shortly. Can we hear you yet, Matt? No, not yet. Okay, never mind. Hopefully in a little while you might be able to sort it out. If you can, we'll come back to you. Okay, well let's perhaps start with a bit of a sing. So let's just find the right one. I need to make sure we get it started. Just bear with me a second. I've got all these ready, so it should just be absolutely seamless, but of course it isn't. Okay, here we go. That should make it work properly. There we go. So you should all have that now.
Yeah, we have.
Wake up, give yourself a shake up, get your body moving. Reach up, jump up, give your friend a thumbs up, it's another new day. Wake up, give yourself a shake up, get your body moving. Reach up, jump up, give your friend a thumbs up, it's another new day. Get your feet dancing to the beat, get your body moving. Raise a shout, let your feelings out, it's another new day. Wake up, give yourself a shake up, get your body moving. Reach up, jump up, give your friend a thumbs up, it's another new day. Wake up, give yourself a shake up, get your body moving. Reach up, jump up, give your friend a thumbs up, it's another new day. Get your feet dancing to the beat, get your body moving. Raise a shout, let your feelings out, it's another new day. Get your feet dancing to the beat, get your body moving. Raise a shout, let your feelings out, it's another new day. Get your feet dancing to the beat, get your body moving. Raise a shout, let your feelings out, it's another new day. It's another new day.
Brilliant. Well done, everybody. Okay. Well, I've certainly enjoyed half term. Had a bit of work to do as usual, but I've also had a lovely chance to get out and about. I just wanted to share with you one of the things that I'd done. So let me just pop that back up on the screen so you can all see it. Excuse me. There we go. So hopefully you can all see that.
Yeah.
Because I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my Whernside adventure. Now, if you were looking on the newsletter that came out, the Weirhead Warrior that came out on Friday, you might have seen a picture of me on the Weirhead wall. And that was sort of connected to this Whernside adventure, because Whernside's a place. Well, let me give you a little bit of background about my Whernside adventure. And to start off, I have to go all the way back to last September. Because last September, I thought to myself, do you know what? You're spending too much time sitting down, Mr. Harley, at your desk or in a classroom, and you're getting home and doing a bit of work and sitting down and watching TV, and you're just not getting out and about enough, and you need to do something about it. So I decided the best way to do something about it was just to get out and make sure I did a bit of a walk every day. So I started off back in September, and do you know, back in September, I found it a bit tough. And my average walk was about 2 kilometres, which was just a bit over a mile, not very far, around the park and back home. And an average speed of about 3 kilometres an hour. So again, just done about 1.5 miles, 2 miles an hour, not very fast. And it took me about 40 minutes. And by the time I got home, I was a bit tired and ready to have a sit down and a rest. I thought, this isn't good. So I need to keep going. So I made sure that every day, or just about every day, when I got home from work or at the weekend, I did the same thing. And every day I tried to either walk a little bit faster or a little bit further, just a little bit, so that I would hopefully get a bit fitter and fitter each day. So by the time it got to May, to the month that's just finished, every day I now walk about 10 kilometers, which is about 6 miles. Okay, sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a little bit less. But I try to make sure I do that every single day. I have the day off every now and again, but just about every day. And now my average speed is about 6.5 kilometers an hour, which is about 4 miles an hour. Doesn't sound very fast, but it's a good brisk walk. And it takes me about 1 hour and 3/4.
Wow.
So it was great. I can really look back and see how doing that just a little bit every day for that time, I've got fitter and fitter, and I've got better and better. And one of the things I've loved about it is, as I've been walking every day in roughly the same kind of places, I've seen the seasons change. So I've seen it go from autumn into winter, and then out of the winter into the spring, and now into summer. And I've seen some lovely, lovely views on my walk around my house, around my home. But where I live, even though it's at the bottom end of Wensleydale, it's quite flat around where I walk. So it's not been too challenging. It's just flat, no big hills to walk up. And I thought to myself, I need a bit more of a challenge. I can do a good walk, but I used to walk up big hills when I was much younger, and I thought, I need to do that again. So I thought, I need to challenge myself, but where to go? Because, I had to make sure I was following all the right rules around lockdown and making sure I was exercising in safe places where I could keep myself away from people. And I thought about the end of my valley, at the end of Wensleydale. You take a left turn and go over into Ribblesdale. And there are 3 mountains, 3 very big hills. And they're called the Yorkshire Three Peaks. The first one's called Pennygent.
Mm-hmm.
Strange name for Yorkshire. Doesn't sound like a very Yorkshire name. It sounds Welsh, but it's called Pennygent. And that's 694 metres high, 2,227 feet. To give you an idea how high that is, if you go over from Weir Head into Teesdale, you go over Hartup Pass, the top of Hartup is about 2,000 feet. So it sort of tells you about how high that is. The next one is called Ingleborough, and that's a little bit higher at 723 metres. And then the highest of Yorkshire's 3 peaks is called Whernside. It's got a very long ridge along the top. It's not got a clear peak like the other 2. And that's a little bit higher at 736 metres. So I thought to myself, right, which one to do? And there's a phrase sometimes we use, go big or go home. So I thought, well, I need to go big and I need to have a go at the highest one. So I thought to myself, I'll have a go at walking up Whernside. Been up Pennygent a long time ago, but never been up Whernside before. So I had a look, and my guide said it was going to be 14.5 kilometres. So I thought, well, that's all right. I've done that before. I could normally do that walk in a couple of hours. It said it'd take 4 to 5 hours. And there's 518 metres of ascent going uphill, which is about 1,700 feet. So just to give you an idea, that would be like walking from school up over Hartup and down to Jack and Maisie and Poppy's farm. Okay, it's about that kind of distance and that kind of height. So I thought that's going to be a challenge, but I'll give it a go. So off I set off last Tuesday. And I got there, and it wasn't looking quite as pretty as that first photograph. It was looking very bleak, very dark. And I thought to myself, actually, it might just be easier to turn the car around and go home. But I thought to myself, no, I've set myself the challenge. I've got to give it a go. So I had all the right gear. I had my rucksack, and I had some waterproofs and my boots on, and I had my water pack in there, so I had plenty to drink. And I got to the first gate and I looked up at the ridge and I thought to myself, well, this is it. This is the first gate. Once I open this gate, I'm on my way. But I did it and I had to go. So off I set of the first few kilometres. And it wasn't too bad to start with. It wasn't too steep. But you could always see where the path was going. And I thought, this is going to be a challenge. And I got to the first bridge over one of the rivers, and one of the little stones that people have seen all over the place with the painting, painted stones, there was one on the bridge.
Oh.
And it said, "Be strong."
Oh.
And I thought, what a great little sign, a little bit of inspiration to see right at the beginning of my walk. And that inspired me to keep going. And there were some fantastic views along the way. So it started off some real rewards of views. And that was a very high waterfall in the distance called Force Gill. And then after the very first climb, so it was quite a long climb, I got to a signpost which pointed me in the right direction. And I had a look and I thought, well, I've been walking uphill for ages. I must nearly be there now. And it said, nope, you've still got 3 kilometres to go. And you can see I had a bit of a sweat on there because I thought, just when I thought I was getting near the top, I've got to keep on going. But you got to keep going. So I did. About halfway up, I could turn around and see how far I'd come. Now, it's a bit hard for you to see on that photograph, but right down there, can you see the arrow on the screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's that viaduct that I started at.
Wow.
So you can see how far away that was. But of course, if you're only halfway up and you can look back to see where you came from, you could also continue to look up to see where you had to go. And I had to get up all the way up onto that top of that ridge. I was a bit tired by this time, but I was all right, so I kept on going. And finally, after about 2 hours, I got to the top, and I was delighted. At the top, there's what's called a trig point, which is an old-fashioned point which they used to use for measuring the distance between mountains and hills. But I was still smiling. Bit hot, bit tired, but I was there, and the views were amazing. And that's the beauty about going up onto the big hills. The views once you get there are absolutely fantastic. And you can see, so that was the photograph, and you can see the weather had changed a lot by the time I got up there. It was warm, but there was a really good breeze blowing, which was nice and cool. And that's Ingleborough, one of the other 3 peaks in the background. And then right off in the distance there, can't quite see it, is Pen y Ghent. And there's another challenge you can do, which is quite a famous challenge. It's called the 3 Peaks Challenge, where you start off early in the morning at Pen y Ghent and you walk up that mountain and down it. Then you walk up Ingleborough and down it. Then you walk up Whernside and down it, all in one day, 24 miles.
Wow.
Not quite ready for that challenge yet, but one day. But of course, when you're up there, what goes up has to come down again. And there was the path down, and it was it wasn't too bad to start with, but then it got really steep as it went down the side. And it was actually harder going down than it was going up. It was quite hard on the knees, and I had to take it really quite slowly. Because it was one of those paths that they make on the hillsides to stop the paths getting eroded away. So it was lots of big slabs of rock, and it was quite hard work. But again, the views were stunning all the way down until finally I got back to where I started. So it was absolutely fabulous walk, and I felt really proud of myself. I felt really chuffed because I'd been able to do that, and I'd been able to meet that challenge that I'd set myself. Just play a few more. This is just a little video just of some of the images, which I'll just let run through. Just about a minute long, so it's not too long, but it's quite interesting to see some of the other pictures. There we go. So,
Oh.
as we move into our final half term of the year, what's your own personal challenge going to be? Because we always need to make sure we have something to be working towards. And that was my challenge for the half term. I'm not sure what my challenge for this half term is going to be yet in terms of my walking, but I certainly want to get up into the hills again. But what other personal challenges might we have? Whatever it has, we need to make sure we follow the advice on that little orange stone to be strong. But what's your challenge going to be? It could be to help your family and friends more. As lockdown changes and we can perhaps go and visit more people or spread our wings a little bit, you know, how could we help other people in our family or the friends that we can meet up? Perhaps there's some challenge you could set yourself for that. Could it be in your work? If you've been working really hard with your home learning packs, is there more you could be doing to keep on working even harder or to make sure you keep on going till the end of the year? Could be something to do with that. It could be to get ready to come back to school, because that's going to be a challenge for everybody. If you're in one of those groups that comes back in 2 weeks, you know, think about what you need to do over the next 2 weeks to make sure you're ready to come back. If it's going to be a few weeks later than that, what could you be doing? You know, what could you challenge yourself to do to make sure that when you do come back, you are as ready as you can be? Or could it be something else? Could it be something completely different? So that's what I'd like you to have a think about today and this week. Have a think about what your challenge is going to be for this half term to make sure you can do the best that you can and be the best that you can be. Because it doesn't matter what the challenge is, as long as you're challenging yourself to do something. Okay, whether it's a personal challenge about doing something at home, getting ready for school, whatever it is, doesn't matter what the challenge is, as long as it's there. Okay, that's what I'd love you to be thinking about. And when we come back for assembly next week, it would be fantastic to hear if you perhaps had a chance to have a think about what your challenge might be. Phoebe.
Is it okay if you could try and sort out AR so we can AR our books whilst we're still at home?
We can. If that's not working, we can certainly have a look at that. Absolutely right. So that could be your challenge. Well, that could be a challenge for me, making sure that's working. But then also a challenge for you, so you can have a go at that AR before you get back. Absolutely, we could be doing that. So have a think, see what that challenge is, and we will really look forward to hearing those. Let's get rid of that. Okay, let's finish off with a song. You know, I'm just going to get used to getting all these PowerPoints up and ready to go, and we're all going to be back at school and we won't be doing it anymore.
Maybe we can still do it.
Give it 1, give it 2, give it 1, 2, 3. Give it 1, give it 2, give it 1, 2, 3. Give it 1, give it 2, give it 1, 2, 3. Give it 1, give it 2, give it 1, 2, 3. We are the children of every school. We take the things we do, learning together and having fun. It's for a good day. Give it 1, give it 2, give it 1, 2, 3.
Fantastic. Well done, everybody. Right. Well, we have got other things happening this week. So we have got Year 3-4 Maths tomorrow morning at 11. So please join us for that if you want to. And then on Wednesday, we've got 5-6 Maths at 11. Mrs. Hallilay, I think you're storying at 11:30. Is that right?
Yes, I think that's right. Yes.
Brilliant. So, and Mrs. Corbett, thank you very much. You did your Class 2 literacy this morning. So Ava came along and joined us for that. So thank you for that. So whatever you're doing this week, have a fantastic week. Keep an eye out for your next home learning packs. Those will be coming on Thursday or Friday at the end of this week. So that should keep you going until we can get people back. And enjoy the lovely weather while it lasts. I think we've got a few more days before I think we've got some rain forecast. But I think that rain is much needed.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that's it. So have a lovely afternoon, everybody. And we will see you next time. Bye.
You too.